How many reps can you deadlift with 500 pounds? Back in 2015, I hit 10 reps for the first time. I remember it was a big milestone for me because I had this number on my mind for quite some time. Maybe some of you are chasing that exact number, 500 for 10. Maybe you're just chasing 500 for 1. Or hell, maybe you're watching this thinking, no, I destroy this. I'm going 500 for 12 or more. Whatever the number is, I think there is value in just taking a step back, reset your mind to just push hard as fuck, and that's it. No context, no RPE, no percentage, no nothing. Reps-wise, I focused on 10 rep maxes. So I've gone from 500 for 10 to 550 for 10 reps, to then 575 for 10 reps, then 585 pounds for my ultimate 10 rep max. I was able to hit 600 for 9. That's something that still haunts me to this day. So I've never actually taken a step back though and thought, how many could I hit with 500 now? I've never really pushed over 10 reps on the deadlift. There's no real sane reason to do it.
Don't you know I'm loco?
And that actually made me think back, way back in the day, 9 years ago, Omar Isuf held a competition, 500 for as many reps as possible. And Tom Martin won that, and he's around, I believe at the time he was still like around an 800-pound deadlifter in the IPF, drug-free. And he deadlifted 17 reps with 500 pounds. Second place, by the way, pulled sumo, so don't just say, oh, Tom Martin pulled conventional, you're a pussy, it doesn't count. No, it would have counted in this competition 9 years ago that I'm going to enter now. I'm actually gonna have to call up Omar after this and tell him, new challenger, okay? And someone did comment on that video 8 years ago, why isn't Candido in this? Well, maybe I am in this. And I've always had a bucket list of things that I want to accomplish. And adding a 20 rep max, especially with 500 pounds, is something that's quite exciting to see if I can take off. Now my training up until this point has been just ass to grass squats like I've mentioned before, been handling 500 pounds quite well. And then also I've been focusing on mid-rep work on the deadlift. So I've hit 3 sets of 5 here with 595 pounds, and I'm actually showing my third set. So overall, I moved quite well, with basically 600 pounds. And I would say I had a handful of reps in reserve, I would say easily. But I wasn't prepared for any, 1 rep max, and I also wasn't prepared for an ultra high rep test either. I was just kind of in between. Now, I decided, let's just load it up in between training cycles without necessarily training for it. So I loaded up 5 plays here, and you can see it's moving slow because in the gym, it was simply cold as fuck. Now, that being said, I decided, let's do it anyways. Nothing's ever gonna be perfect. So I loaded it up and it moved, as you can see on these first few reps, it moved okay. I'm pacing myself intentionally at this point. And that is the big theme of this attempt, is I'm trying to pace myself, trying to make sure I don't just burn out because I have no idea what it's like to, like I said, do a 20 rep max on the deadlift. And you can tell this the most by the 10th rep. That's where I really took my time afterwards, made sure I was breathing because I was basically making sure every 5 reps I was giving myself time to catch my air. And this seemed to pay off by the 13th rep because this was the point where I thought, okay, I actually think I'm gonna be able to hit 20 reps because that moved quite fast and I would say possibly 7 reps in reserve. Now on the 15th rep, it still moved well, but this was the point where I realized, no, my legs are feeling it. It is building up and I don't know about this. And on the 17th rep, that lockout was as dirty as dating a girl with an OnlyFans account. So I decided, you know what, I need to give myself time to actually train for this. So I had a 4-week training cycle that I dedicated fully to this. And I will talk about that exact program and programming in general, much more, quite soon. So without further ado, 500 pounds for hopefully 20 reps. I'm gonna put my soul into it.
I fear God, and I don't fear nothing else.
All right, so as a mission success, I believe I'm the lightest man on the planet to deadlift 500 for 20 reps or more.
Is there no one else?
Now, someone could make a TikTok and stitch that together, and then it's someone who's 163 pounds pulling like 40 pounds more for a 20 rep max. I would imagine that's very possible, but back in my day, especially, back in my day, I would say 500 for 14 reps or more was kind of something guys 220 and up were doing. And this is something where I am going to push this more and more over time. I would say I want to hit 515 to 525 next time I do a 20 rep max, and then my overall goal will be 250 kilos or 551 pounds for 20 reps. I feel like that would just be such an awesome goal, and it'd be so interesting to see what that transfers over to. I wonder what my friend Sawyer Klatt could deadlift for a 20 rep max. He's someone who can deadlift over 800 pounds naturally, but most importantly has very efficient technique. And this makes me curious, can any natural lifter on the planet deadlift 600 pounds for a 20 rep max? Or can any lifter flat out do it? Because nobody on the internet has ever done it to my knowledge, despite the fact that legendary lifters like Tom Platz have pushed 20 plus reps on the squat. And comment below, who do you think could hit 600? During this phase, I was doing 3 sets of 15 with barbell back extension, not back off work, but accessory work, doing sets of 8 on that same day, and on that same day squatting before all of that. It was quite absurd. But the reason why I'm doing barbell back extensions, as you can see here, I actually worked up to 245 pounds, but this was due to Pete Rubish. And Pete Rubish has talked about this lift. He could do a reaction video perhaps to my technique right here on this. But I really love this accessory because I'm going from a neutral position to an extended position with a big range of motion. And on my deadlift, on my sumo deadlift, I simply do not get pitched over forward. Even on my 21st rep, going to true failure from the side angle, you do not see a bunch of flexion. So because of that, it's more beneficial to just have movements where you're in that neutral position, and if anything, go to extension, because that is required for my lockout in my sumo deadlift. Whereas I've seen other people do barbell, or not barbell extensions, but do back extensions with plate loaded or doing Jefferson curls, where they are in that more flex position from flex to neutral. So that makes sense for some people, but for myself, I believe that'd be totally unnecessary. And if you look at the end of the barbell on those back extensions, you see just how substantial that range of motion is. So it's really cool and, in my opinion, really beneficial as a sumo puller to do a movement where you're handling, north of 225 on a lift with a big range of motion and isn't going to beat up your hips in such a similar movement. So it's not going to cause a lot of chronic fatigue in building muscle with just a little bit more variety.
A lot of people ain't gonna be able to take that over and 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 over.
Now I have the freedom to really build this massive base and then slowly go from a 20 rep max to 10 rep max and then to the competition lift itself. And that's what I'm going to do over time here, because right now I'm 185 pounds right now. Last time you see me, I was, not significantly lighter, but I'd say it was like 7 pounds lighter. And I've been focusing on the upper body on 4-week pure hypertrophy phases. I just started really focusing on this 6 weeks ago. Instead of doing things like dumbbell bench, like a specific 5 rep max goal, or weighted pull up, a specific goal, just completely letting all of that go, letting myself just do more traditional bulks and cuts, and just doing 4 sets of machine row, 4 sets of machine chest press, doing cable press around, and movements that are more ideal for activation without a particularly sexy goal to it. And so far, it's been honestly awesome. I would say this is the most amount of muscle mass that I've ever had in my life. And that's something I'm really gonna continue to build on. I'm enjoying this freedom to be able to focus on building muscle, do some ridiculous goals like this 20 rep max, and I'll continue building here in the future. So without further ado, make sure to like the video, support the channel, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know how many reps can you do with 500 pounds. Peace.
Anyway, I thought you was a G, but you're any snake. I swear that you can't come around my estate. Because when me come from, man, I'm moving, babe.